All right, hey traders, TG Watkins here with simplertrading.com, and welcome to Thursday. We're going to be getting into the markets. We had the CPI come out today. It was very high, so 7.8, and went up another couple tenths of percent. So this is some very, very high inflation that we are experiencing right now. The market didn't really like it in the overnight and into the morning, but it did a pretty good job of recovering by the afternoon. So we're going to be talking about this, kind of where I left off yesterday, saying that the market's done fairly well holding up through all of the news that's out there. And I do think that a lot of people are loaded up on the bearish on the short side, and that could be a lot of kindling for a potential short squeeze. So we're going to go through some of this. I'm going to explain what I see out there, and we kind of just need to be careful in case some good news comes out of somewhere and it sets off a short covering rally. So let's dive into the charts and I'll show you what I'm seeing. All right, so here we are with the S&P, and what we can see is down on the hourly chart on the right, the daily in the middle, and the weekly on the left. Like, obviously, it's in a downtrend. However, as I said earlier, we're seeing a lot of, just the market has been able to handle a lot of stuff that's been thrown at it, and we are down here in a double bottom situation. So we're trying to figure out if, there's a battle going on, trying to figure out if price is going to go lower, or if this is actually a workable bottom for a while and price is going to go up. Are we actually hammering something out? And I will say that just we keep throwing more and more bad news at the market, and it's not really rolling over. It's not really going down. So I think that is some information that we need to take to heart and to really understand what's going on, and that there might be a bit of a bounce coming. I will show you part of my reason for thinking that by looking at the UVXY, which is the VIX, it's volatility, and it's starting to come off. So I'll show you that in a little bit. But we got that double bottom. We have some positive divergence here. We also have overall positive divergence right here too. So we'll have to see when this actually becomes actionable. Right now, I just don't quite see anything that I want to work with, even though I see the potential of a short covering rally or a move to the upside. If we do get a move to the upside, I figure it might take us to the daily 50. Now, of course, the daily 50 is going to move over the course of time. So wherever that ends up, I wouldn't be too surprised to see price shoot up to the daily 50. And if it does do that, then I would be looking at it as a shortable opportunity. So we can start, we can trade both sides of the market here. We definitely have seen some bullish stuff out there, and we've seen some bearish stuff out there. And if the market wants to trade up to the daily 50, we should be able to catch it to the upside. And then you get out, and then we might start looking at shorting it again. So that's what we're looking at with the S&P. If we look at the NASDAQ, it's basically kind of the same thing, just a little bit further down. So not too much to really say specifically about the NASDAQ. And then if we look at the IWM, there's a whole lot of, not much going on here either. But I will say it stopped going down. I mean, we do have this level that's been building in through here. The Moxie indicator has been moving up. In fact, the Moxie indicator here on the hourly is kind of positive. So we've got that working for us to the upside. And another thing for the upside is that the hourly 50 is awfully close to the hourly 200, which means if it did want to go up, it could easily cross over and do that. This sideways move could just pop off like that. And again, if we do get a move to the upside, I don't know how long it's going to last before it may be rolling over again. So do be careful about that. Don't get too heavily involved on the long side, thinking, oh yeah, this is it, we're going to go up from now. I'm not sure if I don't think that's going to happen, even if we do get an up move. The other side of it is this looks just like a bear flag. What if price is really just going sideways until it runs into the downtrending daily 50, and that's going to be the resistance to push it down? That's a possibility too. We don't really have a whole lot of direction right now with the markets, obviously just going sideways. And so we really need to make sure that we kind of keep our minds open for any possibility, either direction, because it's just not very clear right now. That's really the name of the game right now, is it's just not super clear. So the IWM has basically been going sideways for quite some time, and will it pop or will it flop? Maybe it'll pop and then flop. So there could be a lot of options that are happening with the market right now. Now, as we get into the UVXY, this is the thing that I wanted to talk about, because partly if we look at the daily chart, this is doing one of the patterns that I talk about, namely where it's starting to run into the 200. And I wouldn't be surprised that if this works out, we should see price come back down to the daily 50. It is a typical pattern of buying that I see and that I use in normal charts. UVXY is not normal, not exactly a normal chart, so be careful about that. But I wouldn't be too surprised to start seeing the UVXY come back down to the daily 50. If it does that, though, it might reload to the upside. So a pullback to support might actually then cause price to move back up. So again, keep both sides open in your mind about possibilities with this market. Then on the hourly chart, what I have been seeing is this has been a pretty messy move up. Yes, it's been moving up, but it's up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And if you look at the Moxie indicator, it's been pretty messy too on the way up. This is not really a sign of strength, right? It's not telling us that there's a lot of energy or flow to the upside because it's up and then down and then up and then down and up and then down. That's not totally smooth. What we want to see is if it's going to be smooth, we want it to look like this. This is a lot of energy. I mean, look how smooth the Moxie indicator looks there compared to here, right? It's almost night and day difference. And that's why I'm looking at this saying, there might be some weakness going on here, which would be good. Being VIX down, market up, we can work with that. The other thing I'm noticing is, call it a double top or maybe even just call it a higher high like that. But notice that the Moxie indicator is lower. So what that's telling us is that price went higher on less energy. And that's really what the Moxie indicator is trying to communicate to you is energy, momentum, like what's really going on inside there. And the fact that price went higher, but did it on less energy, less gas in the tank, should be noteworthy and should be something that we are paying attention to. And that's why I'm saying I think the UVXY might be getting ready for a pullback, which means the market could be getting ready for a move to the upside. Some other good things that happened for us today. So over in the Moxie group, Moxie trading channel, we cashed in our Build-A-Bear BBW play. It dropped on earnings. It was a very nice move for us. And here on the hourly chart, you can kind of see some of the chaos. It really opened with a gap down, so fantastic. But this one, I think it got halted. In fact, the things were grayed out. We couldn't really do much. There wasn't a whole lot of volume. And then as shorts were getting out of their positions and taking their gains, their profits, you could see that the price rose. So I told the subscribers, hang on a little bit, let's wait and see. And sure enough, kind of by the end of the day, price had come back down. We got out of it for double-digit gains. So very happy about that with BBW. And then another kind of example of what's going on out there is FOSL. Now, this is part of what I'm talking about with a crazy market. And man, it is insane. So this is earnings. It had earnings reports, and look at the craziness that this did. It went straight up the day before earnings. It went just right up. I don't know if maybe some short traders kind of got some information, and apparently it was the wrong information because maybe they got scared or chased out, and so there was some short covering rally as they were getting out, only to then have the report and have this thing just go through the basement. So pretty rough out there for FOSL. And I've been kind of seeing this as far as some retail stuff, FOSL, Gap, Foot Locker, Stitch Fix. I mean, we're seeing a lot of retailers not doing well inside of the stock market. Build-A-Bear, we just saw that at earnings also drop, and then Amazon, we're seeing Amazon drop too. So there's some stuff going on out there, and it might be presenting a bigger picture that we need to stitch together over the course of time. So then we take this and we go to some of the commodities because it's hard not to talk about those commodities right now. Oil obviously was very, very high. Now this week, I was telling my subscribers and I was telling our traders everything. I was like, hey, great move in oil. Fantastic. Okay, fine. But you know what? At some point, this thing is going to become really overbought and it's going to pull back fairly hard just because it is so high. And I was talking about it right up there this week. And then sure enough, this thing just reverses and backs down again. So this is why I was telling people definitely do not initiate a position. Don't start a long position up and through here. And if you happen to be in something like this, it's a good time to take some money off the table because it's likely to pull back and no sense giving that back. So that is what we've been seeing with oil and oil names kind of across the board that they've been pulling back. Now, the real question, I suppose, is this pullback going to be into strength and is it going to find some support and is this going to keep moving up? I'm not entirely sure of that. We're going to have to wait and see how far down it wants to go before it can find some support and maybe move back up. The other thing to think about is that this is very news driven. And do we know if the trend's really going to keep going? I mean, nobody knows this. We don't know if this thing's going to keep going. But if you think that oil is going to keep going up, then hey, this pullback is good. It means you can get in on these plays at a lower price, assuming that everything continues to move to the upside. Just keep in mind that they are going to be heavily news driven, and it will depend on what goes on with the Russia-Ukraine situation and all those players. Then if we look at UNG, this is another one that people have been looking at, trying to figure out, okay, where is this going to go? And I'm just kind of speculating. I'm wondering if price is going to need to tap, come down, test the daily 50 one more time. It already did it back here. That was great. There were some moves in through here. But as we see that there's a bit of a gap here, maybe a bit of a double top, and then we could also see that price is running into the underside of the weekly 200. And so if this is going to go higher, I kind of think price needs to back down here a little bit to build up some strength and then go up like that. And if that happens, we should see probably the daily price get down to the daily 50, and then we'll have to see if that actually holds. So that is my idea for UNG, and we'll see if it actually works out. Then we come over to GLD. GLD, very much like USO, it was extremely overbought. It definitely did not want to be initiating any long positions in through here. If anything, you want to be taking some off and saying, thank you, market, appreciate the money, and I'm going to be cashing that in and going on my merry little way. But look at this. You can see this candle. Wow. I mean, way, way, way outside of that 30 ATR, up in outer space, off the 8 EMA. I mean, it was just up there. The other thing we could note is, well, if you look here on the weekly chart, double top, right? So not that all double tops get sold into, but most of them do. And it is an opportunity to just say, hey, there's probably some natural resistance up there. And, especially when you add to it the fact that gold and the gold price was just so far up outside of that third ATR. And again, on the daily chart, it just made sense that at some point this is going to pull back, and it pulled back at the double top. Go figure. So hopefully you guys were able to see that and take advantage of that. Then Bug, this is a cybersecurity ETF. Had some people talking about it, of course, with the idea about cyber attacks, Russia, and all that kind of stuff. And so the idea of cybersecurity stocks going up, yeah, it was a thing. And it was a thing for a few days. Apparently, it's not as big a deal or big of a thing as oil. So that's what we're seeing here is, yes, it moved, but I didn't really see too much follow through with it. I wasn't really willing to play it. I still don't see much with this. It had a couple days worth of moves, but other than that, it's doing a potential inverse trampoline move on the daily chart. So price should not be over the 50 with the Moxie indicator below 0. This thing could, in fact, be a bit of a fake out, and it could start rolling over and actually go down. So just be careful. I don't really see anything too bullish right now, and it could end up being bearish, despite kind of the news or the theme of why this thing would be going up. All right, so that's Bug. XLP. XLP are the consumer staples. They are usually an area of defense. People go, trying to hide out their money in consumer staples when times get rough. And I had a presentation, a market update about what was going on in this market. And I said that, during a correction or a bear market or a major drawn out down move on the market, I said, there's not always any good place to hide. Even consumer staples is getting hit. And you can see that here, that here's the Moxie price trigger, right? And then you can also see price getting rejected by the underside of the daily 50. And then you can see, generally speaking, price here getting trapped underneath a downtrending hourly 50. So it's having a hard time getting any place. And I just think that's the market. The market is very heavy and it's wearing on things. And even consumer defense is not able to, hold the tide. It's not able to just keep going up despite what's going on out there. All right, another way to be looking at some stuff. Let's look at Amazon. So Amazon, I've been hearing it kind of called Google 2.0, and the fact that they just released some information about a stock split. I believe they're going to do 20 to 1. So at $3,000, it's going to make it $150. But you know what? I don't think that doesn't really matter right now. Same thing with Google. When Google came out and they did their 20 to 1 stock split, yeah, that thing shot up a whole lot. But all it did is it shot up to its previous high and then completely rolled over and imploded. So, and I think Amazon's going to do the same thing. It doesn't matter right now that they've said that they are going to do a stock split. It will matter eventually, and we should be able to take advantage of that. But right now, the market doesn't care. It is just, there's no appetite right now that despite the upcoming 20 to 1 stock split, that people are going to start jumping in this thing. Yeah, let's go ride this up. it's just not the condition of the market right now. And so just let Amazon do whatever it wants to do. Don't try and trade using the idea of the stock split as any reasoning right now, because it won't matter. Google, just to show you that one. And you can see here that was right there. That was the stock split news on their earnings, and what it do? Promptly got sold into real hard. So try not to get into that situation with Amazon. They will matter eventually, and they will be great eventually for that. All right, then we go over to Apple. I can type it correctly. There we go. And with Apple, there's just a whole lot of not much. Not a whole lot to say here. Yes, it's been weak. Yes, it's been moving down. You know, just not much going on. The only thing I can say is that it's been holding this level, which is starting to come into the daily 200 and coming into the weekly 50. So it might provide temporary support. It might cause price to bounce. Maybe it'll flag a little bit longer. Hard to say. We are seeing some divergence here on the hourly chart, but nothing I'm really going to be counting on. And we'll just have to see if there's any kind of move up. Of course, Apple and Tesla and Google and Amazon, they're going to move with the market because they basically are the market. And so if the market wants to move up, then they will move up. But they might move up into that resistance and then come back down once they've done that. So they might just be tagging up as they try to steal home base. Tesla, if we look at that one, kind of the same deal. It's sitting right on the weekly 50. So for now, that's temporary support. You could almost say it's sitting on the daily 200, kind of in that area. And yeah, there's a bit of a double bottom here. You can see there's the leg, there's the heel, there's the arch of the foot, there's the ball of the foot, looking for that elf toe. That's a possibility, but here on the hourly chart, not too much. Nothing's really getting in gear. The only other thing I could point to is that the Moxie indicator is above 0, despite price being below the 50. So that's a potential trampoline move. We'll have to see if that actually works out. It's going to depend on the market. And if we do get a move, I could see the price going up to the daily 50, and then I'd watch out below. So that's kind of my idea of what's going on out there, and just kind of building the case that there might be an up move developing. Can't quite confirm it, but seems like something like that is happening. Another thing to look at, TAN, which is the solar ETFs, another area of conversation because of the Russia situation, and we're trying to figure out, maybe some investors like, hey, we could be energy independent with our own natural gas, solar, whatever else we want to do and whatever we want to create, that's possible. And so I think Bloom Energy, FCell, fuel cell companies, alternative fuel, alternative energy companies seem to be catching a bid. Again, with solar. So I think that this is just the beginning of a move. Usually what I would call this is the first move, and then I would want to see price come back down, find some legitimate support, and then move up, and that would be the second move, and that's where I would get in. Also here on the weekly chart, this is halfway through my elf shoe pattern, which means price is likely to pull back in the next days or weeks in order to come down and retest some support, just like that second move that I'm looking for and looking at. So this is a good move. This is a good move off the lows, but it's not anything confirmed. And I'd like to see a pullback into support that's confirmed in order to then take a trade to the long side. So that's where I'm at right now. It's going to be real interesting to see what we get over the next few days to weeks, couple weeks. And we'll have to see how much news actually moves the market. Because I think, everything's set and ready. We just have to find the news that's going to cause the market to go the way we need it to go. All right, everyone, you guys take care. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you next week.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.